Ever catch yourself daydreaming,
Yeah.
about a future where everything's running on clean energy, the planet's thriving, it's all like super green and
Oh,
everything.
yeah, for sure.
Well, today's deep dive, we're not just daydreaming. We're going to look at the actual innovations that are making that future a reality. Like for you, right now.
Yeah, it's really exciting. We're going to kind of take a look at the science behind it all, the stuff that's completely changing how we, power our world. It's not just like flicking a light switch anymore. This is about a whole sustainable, future.
Right. And we're basing this whole exploration on this really interesting discussion called the Renewable Revolution, Unveiling the Future of Energy.
Hmm.
It's part of this Breaking Ground in Renewable Energy series.
Okay.
And basically what we're going to do is like break down the important stuff, introduce you to the people who are really pushing this whole thing forward.
Yeah.
It's not just like new tech, gadgets. It's about a whole new way of thinking about like energy and how we live.
Yeah. It's amazing to see how, like, people are coming up with all these, like, ingenious solutions to these huge global problems. It's not just one thing. It's like a whole bunch of advancements all connected, and the amazing people who are, like, pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
So let's talk about some of these like really important thinkers. First up, Dr. Mark Jacobson. He's like a leading voice, a visionary, some would say. He's all about like a world powered completely by renewable sources.
Yeah. And what's really cool about Dr. Jacobson's work is, like, he gives you a blueprint. It's not just like a dream. It's like actual research that maps out how we ditch fossil fuels. And he's really good at explaining both the practical side, like how we do it, and also why it's so urgent.
Absolutely. And then there's Catherine Wilkinson, who's been super influential in the whole climate change conversation.
Yeah,
What I thought was interesting is how she like broadens the discussion beyond just the tech stuff.
totally. I think Wilkinson really understands that the renewable energy revolution isn't just about, scientists and labs making breakthroughs.
Right.
It's also about how our cultures change and the policies we put in place.
Yeah.
It's like technology is one part of it, but we also need to, like, fundamentally shift how we think about and use energy as a society.
For sure. Okay, let's dive into some of these super cool developments that are actually happening. Let's start with solar power.
Okay.
It feels like there's so much happening with solar. Like
Yeah.
everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
And there's some really, really good reasons for that, right?
Oh, definitely. The improvements we've seen in solar panel efficiency are, like, unbelievable. The percentage of sunlight that can either be turned into, usable electricity has increased so much.
Yeah.
It's not just that solar is becoming a more powerful source of energy, but it also means it can be used in so many more ways.
So something that really stood out to me was the mention of perovskite solar cells.
Right.
These things sound like they could really change the game.
Yeah, they have huge potential. What's really revolutionary about perovskites is not just that they're cheaper to make, but they're also super flexible and adaptable. Imagine solar cells not just on roofs, but like integrated into buildings, even on flexible surfaces like fabrics. It could change how and where we can get solar power from.
Yeah.
It's a game changer.
From the sun, let's move on to the wind. The source talked a lot about the growth of wind energy tech, especially these massive offshore wind farms.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like they're becoming major, major energy producers.
Oh, for sure. Offshore wind farms can take advantage of the stronger, more consistent wind out at sea,
Huh.
so they can generate way more energy than land-based turbines.
Yeah.
Plus, the turbines themselves are often, like, much bigger. I mean, we're talking taller than some skyscrapers.
Mm.
And that means they can capture those stronger winds, higher up.
They even gave a specific example of the Hornsea project in the UK, which they say is the largest offshore wind farm in the world.
Wow.
That really gives you a sense of the scale we're talking about.
It does. The Hornsea project is like a real-world example of how much energy wind power can actually provide.
Yeah.
It shows that offshore wind has the potential to meet, these huge energy demands. It could be a key part of a renewable energy future for lots of countries.
Absolutely. All right, so we've talked sun, we've talked wind. Let's get a little weird. Biofuels, specifically the kind made from algae.
Okay.
Sounds kind of sci-fi, right? Like algae powering things.
It does, but it's real, and it's becoming more and more like a legitimate option.
Yeah.
What's so cool about biofuels from algae is that they have, like, a double benefit. They're renewable, which means we can grow more, but the algae themselves actually absorb CO2 from the atmosphere as they grow.
So it's like attacking the carbon problem from both sides,
Right.
producing clean energy and getting rid of greenhouse gases at the same time. That's like so clever.
Totally. It's a perfect example of how creative thinking can turn a problem, CO2 emissions, into a potential solution.
Okay, so all of this is happening on a like global scale, right? But I'm sure some of you listening are thinking like, okay, this is all great, but what about me?
Yeah.
And the source actually gives some really practical advice on how we can all like be part of this renewable energy revolution.
Yeah, that's really important. How do we take these big innovations and turn them into things that individuals can actually do?
Mm.
The source has some great starting points for anyone who wants to get involved.
The first thing they say is educate yourself. Like really understand the basics. That can be a powerful first step.
Yeah, for sure. When you make informed decisions, that's how you can change things.
Right.
When you understand the benefits and, even the challenges of renewable energy, you can make better choices in your own life and you can have more meaningful conversations with other people.
Exactly. Next, they talk about supporting policy changes.
Hmm.
Now, this might seem kind of like big picture, out of our control, but it can really make a difference in how fast we transition.
It really can. The policies that are made, you know, locally, regionally, nationally, they all play a huge role in how quickly we adopt renewable energy technologies.
Yeah,
Like advocating for these policies, whether you're voting, talking to your representatives, or just having conversations, it can make a real difference.
absolutely. The third tip is about actually investing in renewable technology.
Hmm.
For some people, this might mean putting solar panels on their roof.
Right.
For others, it might mean supporting companies that are really pushing the boundaries in this field.
Yeah. Putting your money where your mouth is.
Right.
For people who have the means, investing in renewable energy, whether it's, on your own roof or through like buying stock in these companies, it helps these technologies grow
Yeah.
and it helps them become more widely available.
And then we have something that often gets overlooked, conserving energy, just using less.
Yeah, it's amazing how much of an impact that can have. Reducing our energy consumption, whether it's using energy efficient appliances, remembering to turn off lights, just being more mindful, it all helps.
Totally.
It reduces the demand on all energy sources, including fossil fuels. It makes the transition to renewables much smoother.
And finally, the advice to stay informed. This is a field that's changing so fast.
Oh,
Like
yes.
every day there's something new.
Constantly learning is key. When you stay informed, you understand the new breakthroughs, you can think about what they mean, and you can find new ways to be part of the solution.
For those of you who really want to like get your hands dirty, the source also gave some outside the box ideas.
Okay.
One of them was to try some DIY renewable energy projects.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really fun way to learn.
Totally. Even if it's a small project, it gives you a much deeper understanding of how this stuff actually works. It could spark a lifelong interest, maybe even lead to some future innovations.
Yeah, exactly. They also talked about joining community energy initiatives. That's where people in a neighborhood, for example, come together to invest in and benefit from these projects.
Community energy initiatives are awesome.
Yeah.
They create this sense of like shared purpose,
Yeah,
everyone working together.
totally.
They allow people to invest locally, and that makes sure the benefits are felt right there in the community.
Right. Okay, now for a little fun fact time. The source shared a couple of things that I thought were pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
First one, the largest solar farm in the world, which is in China, is so big you can see it from space.
Wow, that's incredible.
That gives you an idea of the scale we're talking about.
It does. It's like a visual representation of how much clean energy we can actually generate.
Yeah.
It's becoming more and more significant on a global scale.
And the second fact, Denmark generates almost half of its electricity from wind power.
Seriously.
Yeah. That's like a whole country running on wind. It shows what's possible when you really commit to it.
Yeah, Denmark's a great example. They show that transitioning to renewable energy isn't just some theory, it's something that can actually be done.
Absolutely. So we've talked about these forward-thinking individuals, these amazing technologies, and how we can all be a part of this. What's the key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
Well, I think the big takeaway is that the shift to renewable energy isn't just about science and technology.
Hmm.
It's a societal transformation. It needs everyone to work together, from the policies we create
Mm.
to the choices we make every day.
Totally. It feels like we're on the verge of something really big, a
Yeah.
whole new way of thinking about energy.
Yeah.
And the choices you make today really do matter.
That's so true. It makes you think. With all this exciting stuff happening in renewable energy, what role will you play? Maybe something we talked about today piqued your interest. Maybe it's something you want to explore further.
Yeah, maybe it's time to, dive in and see what you can do.